All three American automakers are now adding shifts and creating jobs at the strongest rate since the 1990s.
That's President Barack Obama in a recent statement, expressing his excitement over American auto companies adding new shifts. Well, those new shifts came at a cost.
The extra shifts that the president wants to brag about came at a huge cost. Tens of billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money being funneled into the so-called private companies of GM and Chrysler. But there's other costs involved too. The bondholders, the savers of America who had invested in Chrysler and GM had their holdings basically taken by the government and handed over to the union officials of the UAW. In some cases, they're not paying back with earned cash. They simply now have reached a point where some in the private market will lend them money. So Chrysler, for example, borrowed the money to pay back Uncle Sam. They're still in debt up to their teeth. It's a real question whether or not Chrysler would go the way of the Yugo.
American cars lost a great deal of market share in the 1990s and 2000s. Foreign competitors gained momentum, and major auto companies asked for a bailout. In June of 2009, a reported $80.3 billion of government money had been invested, and President Obama himself had made executive decisions in these companies.
I said if GM and Chrysler were willing to take the difficult steps of restructuring and making themselves more competitive, the American people would stand by them. We could have done what a lot of folks in Washington thought we should do: nothing.
Is this a free market economy? Doesn't sound like it.
This is the exact opposite of a free market. This is corporatist, as developed in Italy and later Germany in the 1930s. These are nominally private companies that do what the government tells them to do.
The president says that average Americans who do the right thing will succeed.
And if you work hard and act responsibly, you'll be able to pass on a better life to your kids and your grandkids.
However, ALG President Bill Wilson thinks the precedent set by bailouts is bad for average Americans.
If you do the right thing in this country, if you save, if you work, if you pay your bills, the only thing this government promises you is that we're going to tax you more, penalize you more, abuse you more. You don't pay your bills, you don't pay your mortgage, you're going belly up, but you're well connected to the Obama crew, no worries. You know, Tim Geithner will be there with check in hand to bail you out.
Reporting from Washington, Frank McCaffrey.